The room went silent the moment she entered. Her heel struck the marble floor like thunderclaps, sharp, confident, and unrelenting. Every gaze in the grand conference hall shifted toward her. The woman who could buy entire companies with a single signature, the billionaire no one dared to question. Eleanor Hayes. Her name alone made executives tremble. She was power personified, elegant, ruthless, and unbending. Yet that morning, in front of 200 trembling employees, one man would change everything with 4 simple words. "Ma'am, sit down. Before we dive deeper into this heart-touching story of pride, pain, and redemption, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of standing up for what's right, please take a moment to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Your support keeps stories like this alive." Eleanor Hayes had built her empire from ashes. The daughter of a janitor, she had clawed her way through poverty, rejection, and loss. She worked nights, studied days, and never let her emotions show. Over the years, she had learned one brutal lesson. People respected fear, not kindness. So, she became the storm everyone feared. By 40, she was one of the richest women in the country, a symbol of discipline, perfection, and impossible standards. But wealth doesn't heal the heart. It only hides the scars. On that stormy Monday morning, Eleanor was launching a new initiative, Project Rebirth. It was meant to reshape her company's image after years of criticism for being too cold, too profit-driven. She stood at the front of the conference room, staring down her employees as if daring them to fail her. Every manager sat frozen, afraid to blink wrong. Her voice sliced through the air like a blade as she demanded reports, numbers, and results. Then, during the presentation, a small mistake appeared on the screen. A spelling error in one of the slides. Her eyes narrowed. "Who approved this?" she asked. Silence. "Who let this slide go through?" In the back row, a man slowly raised his hand. He wasn't wearing a suit. His tie was loosely knotted. His eyes, tired but steady, met hers. "It was me," he said quietly. His name was Daniel Brooks, a single father who had joined the company 3 months earlier as a junior designer. He was a man trying to rebuild his life after tragedy, after losing his wife 2 years ago in an accident that had left him raising his little girl alone. He wasn't used to corporate worlds or billionaires who treated mistakes like crimes. Eleanor's tone turned icy. "You think this company runs on carelessness, Mr. Brooks?" Daniel swallowed hard but didn't look away. "No, ma'am, I think it runs on people." The words were simple, yet they cut through the room like lightning. A murmur rose among the staff, but Eleanor's glare silenced it instantly. She stepped closer to him. "People make mistakes. Mistakes cost money. Money costs jobs," she said coldly. "Are you ready to take responsibility for every job lost because of your mistake?" The air was suffocating. Daniel's jaw tightened. He could have apologized, could have bowed his head like everyone else. But he thought of his daughter, of her smile when he promised her he'd be brave no matter what. So he took a breath and said something no one in that room ever imagined anyone would say to Eleanor Hayes. "Ma'am," he said softly but firmly, "sit down." The room froze. The sound of a pin drop would have echoed like thunder. For the first time in years, Eleanor looked genuinely shocked. "Excuse me." Daniel didn't flinch. His voice was calm, not arrogant, just human. "Please sit down. You've been standing all morning, correcting everyone, pushing us harder than we can breathe. But you haven't looked around. Haven't seen how scared everyone is. You built this company, yes, but somewhere along the way, you forgot that people aren't machines. They break, they burn out, they bleed quietly while smiling at you. Please sit down. Eleanor's hands trembled almost imperceptibly. No one had ever spoken to her like that, not since her father, long before she became the billionaire. The room stayed silent. Then something unexpected happened. She sat slowly, cautiously. She lowered herself into the chair at the head of the table, and for the first time, she didn't speak. Something inside her cracked open that morning. Memories she had buried beneath layers of success came flooding back. The nights she had studied by candlelight, the days her mother cried because rent was late, and the one promise she had made to herself at 18. I'll never be weak again. But in her quest to never be weak, she had built walls so high that even her own heart couldn't breathe inside them. After the meeting ended, Eleanor called Daniel to her office. Everyone thought he'd be fired immediately. But when he walked in, she didn't look furious. She looked tired. The kind of tired that goes deeper than the bones. You realize what you did could cost you your job, she said quietly. He nodded. I know, but sometimes the truth costs something. Eleanor leaned back, studying him. You're a single father, aren't you? He nodded again. Yes. My daughter's 6. She thinks I design magic instead of marketing slides. For the first time, a small, almost imperceptible smile tugged at Eleanor's lips. Magic, she repeated softly. I used to believe in that once. She paused, her gaze distant. What happened to you, Mr. Brooks? What happened to me? Daniel sighed. Life. But it's not about what happens. It's about how we keep going. And sometimes all people need is a little kindness from those who have the power to give it. Those words lingered long after Daniel left her office. Eleanor stared at the skyline from her glass window that night, the city lights glittering like a million broken dreams. She thought of her employees, the fear in their eyes every time she entered a room. She thought of Daniel's courage, his quiet dignity, and the way he said those words, not to insult her, but to remind her that leadership wasn't about control. It was about connection. The next morning, something extraordinary happened. When the employees gathered again, expecting another storm, Eleanor walked in without her usual sharp heels. She wore flats. Her tone was softer, her expression human. Before we begin, she said, I owe someone an apology. Everyone's heads turned as she looked at Daniel. Yesterday, I forgot that this company doesn't run on perfection. It runs on people like you. You reminded me that power means nothing if it silences hearts. She took a breath, her voice trembling slightly. Thank you for asking me to sit down. The applause that followed wasn't polite. It was emotional. For the first time, her employees saw not a billionaire, but a woman rediscovering her humanity. Days turned into weeks, and Eleanor began to change the company culture entirely. She created wellness programs, flexible hours for parents, and mentorships for struggling employees. The company thrived not because of fear, but because of loyalty born from compassion. She also began visiting local community centers anonymously at first, helping single parents find stable jobs. And somewhere along the line, her connection with Daniel deepened. Not romantically at first, but through respect, understanding, and the quiet bond between two broken souls healing in each other's presence. One afternoon, Eleanor visited Daniel's office and found a drawing pinned to his desk, crayon colors, messy handwriting, and a little girl's note that read, "Thank you for helping my daddy smile again." Eleanor stared at it for a long time. Tears she hadn't shed in years found their way down her cheeks. That night, she visited the cemetery for the first time in a decade, kneeling beside her father's grave. "You were right, Dad," she whispered. Strength isn't about never falling. It's about standing up with a softer heart. Months later, the company hosted an annual gala to honor its employees. This time, instead of delivering a speech full of numbers and projections, Eleanor told a story about a man who reminded her that leadership was about listening. She ended her speech with a simple truth. Sometimes all it takes to change a life is to ask someone to sit down and truly listen. The audience stood in applause. Daniel watched from the corner of the room, his daughter sitting on his lap, clapping her small hands with excitement. When Eleanor's eyes met his, she smiled. A genuine, warm smile that carried 1,000 unspoken words of gratitude and respect. From that day forward, "Ma'am, sit down," became a quiet saying among the company staff, a reminder that even the mightiest heart needs moments of humility. And Eleanor never forgot the man who had dared to correct her, not out of rebellion, but out of courage and care. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that even the strongest people need kindness, please like this video, comment below, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more stories that heal, inspire, and move the soul. Speech balloon special request. Before we end, comment below with one line. Kindness is strength. Let's fill the comments with light and compassion. Because sometimes it only takes one brave voice, one quiet act of truth to change even the coldest heart.